Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do." In this age of noise where everyone is broadcasting their emotions, reactions, and inner turmoil, the real power often lies in quiet subtraction. Not in confrontation, not in performance, but in silently removing what no longer serves us. This episode isn't about doing more, it's about doing less with purpose. We'll walk through 11 things you should quietly eliminate from your life. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with clarity and conviction. Because the Stoics didn't chase validation, they pursued peace. And that kind of peace begins the moment you decide to stop explaining yourself. Stop carrying the weight of others' expectations and stop participating in emotional noise. You don't need to tell the world what you're letting go of. You just need to let go, quietly, intentionally, and consistently. Let's begin. Part 1. Explaining yourself to those who hurt you. Have you ever sat down to write a long message to someone who hurt you deeply, explaining your pain, defending your perspective, trying to help them understand why they made you feel the way they did? Maybe it was someone close, a friend who betrayed you, a partner who ghosted you, a family member who crossed a line. And in your hurt, you hoped that by explaining yourself, you'd finally get closure, maybe even an apology. But here's a hard Stoic truth. You don't owe closure to the person who shattered the connection. You don't owe emotional labor to someone who disrespected your boundaries. And most importantly, you don't need to reopen your wounds just to prove you were bleeding. The urge to explain often comes from a good place. We want to be heard, we want to be understood. But Stoicism reminds us, true strength is not found in convincing someone of your worth. It's found in walking away without losing your calm, your dignity, or your peace. Epictetus once said, "Keep silence for the most part, and speak only when you must." That silence is not emptiness, it is power. Because when you stop trying to change their mind, you start reclaiming your own. You begin to heal, quietly, on your own terms. If they come back, and sometimes they do, with questions, with small talk, or with requests for help, you don't need a speech. A simple, calm no is enough. You don't need to explain why. Let time and their own actions be their teacher. Because the best revenge, as Marcus Aurelius put it, is not to be like him who performed the injury. Don't try to win them over. Don't try to prove them wrong. Just become so centered, so grounded, that their presence or absence no longer disturbs your inner world. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of mastery. Part 2. Letting go of unnecessary goals. Not every goal you once set is still meant to be pursued. Sometimes the most courageous act is not charging forward, but stepping back. Letting go of a goal can feel like failure, but often it's clarity in disguise. We outgrow dreams. We evolve beyond old ambitions. What once lit a fire in you may now feel like a burden you're carrying out of habit, out of fear, or out of the expectations of others. As the longer you chase what no longer resonates, the more energy you steal from what truly matters now. A Stoic knows that living with intention means constantly realigning with your inner compass. It means asking, does this still serve my highest self? Or am I chasing it because I once said I would? Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And few things waste time more than dragging outdated goals behind us like rusted anchors." But here's the key: let go quietly. You don't need to announce your shift to the world. You don't need to explain your pivot to every curious observer. There's dignity in privacy. There's wisdom in subtle redirection. If something no longer aligns, release it. Not with regret, but with gratitude for what it once taught you. Then walk away. Not for applause, not for approval, but because your soul deserves the space to grow in a new direction. Your goals should evolve as you do, and when they don't, they become cages. So when you feel that tension, that inner pull towards something different, listen, trust it. Not all changes need to be dramatic. Sometimes the quietest shifts are the most transformative. Part 3. Oversharing, the end of relationships. When a friendship ends, when love unravels, when someone walks away, what remains isn't always silence. Sometimes, what follows is the urge to talk, to explain, to tell your side, to share your version of the truth. And it feels justified. You've been hurt. You want others to understand. Maybe you want closure. Maybe you want validation. But here's the quiet wisdom of Stoicism. Not every story needs an audience. Not every wound needs to be displayed. Oversharing the details of a breakup or a falling out might feel therapeutic in the moment, but it often complicates more than it heals. What you share becomes ammunition for gossip. What you vent might feel like truth, but it's often just raw emotion searching for release. And worst of all, it binds you further to the very person or moment you're trying to move on from. Stoics believe in preserving dignity, your own and even that of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That includes the event of a relationship ending. You can't control how it ended, but you can control how you carry it. Protect what was once private, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Don't let emotional pain become public theater. When you keep certain endings sacred, you give yourself a quieter space to heal. And when you feel the urge to talk, to explain, to justify, pause, reflect. Sometimes, silence isn't hiding. Sometimes, it's honoring. Let the relationship end with a whisper, not a roar. Let it leave room for you to rebuild. Quietly, respectfully, and with strength. Part 4. Raising your voice in frustration. You're in a meeting, or maybe a family argument. Your heart races, your jaw tightens, your voice wants to rise. You want to be heard. You want to be right. You want to say something loud enough to make someone stop and listen. But here's the question. What do you lose when your voice gets louder than your presence? Raising your voice might win the moment, but it rarely wins the war within. Because every time you shout, every time you let frustration leak out through volume instead of clarity, you hand your power away. The Stoics were warriors of the mind, not of noise. They believed that common chaos wasn't weakness, it was discipline. Heraclitus once said, "To be even-tempered is the greatest virtue." That means staying grounded when others are shaking, steady when the world stirs, soft-spoken even when the moment begs for thunder. Think back to a time when someone lost their temper around you. Did it make you respect them more or less? Now think of someone who stayed composed, who didn't need to shout to make their presence felt. That's the kind of person we're drawn to. That's the strength we all admire but rarely practice. The next time you feel the fire rise, try something radical. Lower your voice. Slow your breath. Let your words be few but precise. Because calm is not passive. It's controlled force. It's presence under pressure. It's the choice to protect your inner peace instead of reacting to outer noise. Remember, you don't need to shout to be powerful. The most impactful voices are often the quietest in the room. Part 5. Spreading negative opinions about others. It starts small. A comment, a whisper, a casual remark about someone who isn't in the room. You tell yourself it's harmless, maybe even honest. But the truth is, every negative word you speak about someone else leaves a mark. Not on them, on you. And when you gossip or spread criticism, you're shaping your own character. You may feel in control while speaking, but in reality, you're broadcasting your own lack of restraint. The Stoics warned us about this. They knew that words carry energy, that what we say about others reveals what we haven't yet healed within ourselves. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. And being one means resisting the easy temptation to speak poorly of others. It's easy to join in when others are judging. It's harder, but far more powerful, to remain silent, or better yet, to offer a perspective rooted in empathy, because you never know what someone else is going through. That person you're judging, they might be carrying battles you'll never see. Choosing empathy over disdain doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. It means you protect your peace. It means you rise above smallness and choose integrity, even when no one's watching. And when you become that person, the one who doesn't speak ill of others, people notice. They feel safer around you. They trust you more. And you, in turn, start walking lighter because you're no longer tangled in webs of drama and negativity. So next time someone invites you into a conversation steeped in judgment, pause. Ask yourself, will this make me more of who I want to be? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. Choose silence. Choose grace. Choose the kind of strength that needs no words at all. Part 6. Constantly comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, so they say, but the Stoics would go even further. Comparison, they'd argue, is a rejection of your own path. Every time you measure your life against someone else's highlight reel, you are quietly declaring that your story is not enough. It's easy to fall into. Social media makes it feel natural. You scroll, you see success, beauty, brilliance, filtered, polished, curated, and then you look at yourself, your chaos, your ordinary moments, and suddenly it all feels insufficient. But here's the Stoic truth. Your journey isn't supposed to look like theirs. It's not supposed to follow the same timeline, the same arcs, the same milestones. Life, Epictetus reminds us, isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling our responses. Control your perceptions, direct your actions properly. Willingly accept what's outside your control. What's outside your control? Their life, their progress, their path. What's within yours? Your focus, your values, your growth. When you constantly compare, you blind yourself to what's quietly blooming in your own life. So instead of looking sideways, look inward. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? Ask, what's unfolding here, now, in me? Your story isn't behind, it's just different. Rich in its own timing, beautiful in its own detours. You are not late. You are not less. You are on a road that no one else can walk but you. And if you keep your eyes on your own steps, your own rhythm, you'll realize there's nothing more liberating than running your own race with peace in your heart and purpose in your stride. Part 7. The mindless use of social media. You pick up your phone. Just for a second, you tell yourself it's nothing, just a scroll, a check, a swipe. But then minutes pass, then hours. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you feel it. That strange dullness, the comparison, the restlessness. The fatigue that doesn't come from doing too much, but from absorbing too much that isn't yours. Social media in itself is not the enemy. Like any tool, it can connect, inspire, educate. But when used without intention, it becomes a thief not just of time, but of clarity, attention, and self-worth. When you unconsciously let everyone else's lives fill your screen, their voices start to speak louder than your own. The Stoics warned us about distractions, anything that pulls us away from conscious living. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And so much of what social media triggers in us, envy, inadequacy, anxiety, is built not on truth, but on illusion. Highlight reels, pretending to be reality. So here's the shift. Be intentional. Set boundaries, create digital rituals instead of reactive habits. Check your feeds at chosen times, not every time your mood dips. Ask yourself before you open an app, am I seeking inspiration or escaping myself? Even more powerful, take a break, not as punishment, but as a gift. Step back into your own life. Feel the texture of your thoughts without interruption. Reconnect with your breath, your space, your real surroundings. You don't need to document every moment to prove that it matters. It already does. Let technology serve your purpose, not steal your presence. You're not here to consume your life in fragments through a screen. You're here to live it, fully, and with your eyes open. Part 8. The pursuit of external validation. You say something, you do something, you achieve something, And before you can even feel it for yourself, your mind quietly asks, did anyone see that? Did they like it? Approve it? Celebrate it? It's subtle, but it's there. That invisible itch for acknowledgement, applause, affirmation. And just like that, your sense of worth becomes tethered to things outside of you. The pursuit of external validation is seductive. It feels like connection. It feels like relevance. But it's a mask, a moving target, one that keeps shifting based on the opinions of others, opinions you can never fully control. Stoicism calls this out for what it is: slavery. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Why does it matter more how they see you than how you see yourself? Why do we hand over our joy, our peace, our identity in exchange for someone else's fleeting approval? You weren't born to perform. You weren't made to live like you're on a stage, adjusting your every move based on an imaginary audience. The real you, the quiet, steady, reflective you, has value with or without applause. So take a step back. Ask yourself, is this choice for me or for them? Reconnect with your own inner compass, your own intuition. Let your values guide you, not the reactions of the crowd. Because once you stop living for their approval, you finally start living for your own truth. And in that truth, there is freedom, there is integrity, and most of all, there is peace. Not the peace they gave you, but the peace you reclaimed. Part 9. Perfectionism. At first glance, perfectionism wears the mask of ambition. It tells you to raise your standards, to aim higher, to be excellent. But slowly, silently, it begins to poison your efforts. Not with laziness, but with fear. Fear of not doing enough. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being seen as flawed. And then something strange happens. You stop starting. You delay, you hesitate, you criticize every move before it even leaves your mind. You become trapped not by failure, but by the fear of it. Stoicism calls us not to flawlessness, but to progress, not to image, but to substance. Seneca wrote, "While we wait for life, life passes." Perfectionism is exactly that, waiting endlessly until things are just right, while real life quietly slips by. The Stoic way isn't about being flawless. It's about being whole, human, aware, ever evolving. You're not here to impress. You're here to grow. And growth is messy. Growth is awkward. It's full of stumbles, detours, imperfect attempts. So let go of the idea that everything has to be polished before it's worth doing. Allow your creations, your efforts, your process to breathe. To be unfinished, but authentic. To be imperfect, but alive. Redefine success, not as the absence of mistakes, but as the courage to keep moving through them. Celebrate not only what you finish, but what you attempt, what you learn, what you survive. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. And in being real, you become unshakable. Part 10. Holding on to unrealistic expectations. You imagined how life would be, how that job would feel, how that relationship would unfold, how you'd arrive somewhere by now, stronger, happier, more successful. And yet, here you are, still in the middle of it, still becoming. And part of you feels like you've fallen behind, not because of truth, but because of expectation. Unrealistic expectations don't always look like fantasy. Sometimes they wear the quiet disguise of should have. I should have achieved more. I should be more like them. This should have worked out by now. But should is a heavy word. It doesn't just pressure, it suffocates. It closes your eyes to what is by constantly comparing it to what isn't. The Stoics saw through this. They didn't try to bend reality to their hopes. They tried to align themselves with what actually was. Epictetus reminded us, some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your expectations are yours, but outcomes, timing, reactions, those are not. When we hold on to the life we imagined, we often miss the life we're actually living. We fail to see the quiet blessings that don't match the picture. We grow blind to the unexpected beauty that only appears when plans fall apart. So breathe, let go, not of hope, but of rigid stories, of timelines, of the need to have everything figured out. Be honest with yourself. Is this expectation serving your growth or suffocating it? If it's the latter, release it. Mourn it if you must. Then turn your eyes forward to the space that opens when you stop clinging. Because when you stop trying to force the horizon to look a certain way, you finally see the sun rising where it was meant to all along. Part 11. Gossiping. It's subtle. It can feel harmless, sometimes even bonding. A shared laugh, a whispered comment, a knowing glance about someone not present. But gossip, no matter how cleverly disguised, is a transaction where we trade someone else's dignity for a fleeting sense of connection or superiority. And the cost is always higher than it seems. The Stoics spoke often about restraint, not just of actions, but of speech, because what you say not only reflects your character, it shapes it. Marcus Aurelius asked, "Is it necessary to say this?" If the answer is no, then silence becomes a form of strength. Gossip feels easy because judgment is easy. Understanding takes effort. But to choose silence when others speak loudly, that's not weakness, that's mastery. When you participate in gossip, you create an environment of fear, not trust. If you speak of others in their absence, people will assume you do the same about them. But more importantly, you chip away at your own integrity. You anchor yourself in negativity and noise instead of presence and principle. So next time you feel tempted to indulge, to share that little piece of news, that story, that criticism, pause. Imagine that person hearing your words. Imagine your lowest moment being retold without context. Would you feel understood or betrayed? Gossip is not just about others, it's about how you want to show up in the world. And when you choose to speak with kindness, with truth, or not at all, you don't just protect others, you protect the peace within yourself. You made it to the end, not just of this episode, but of a quiet inner audit. 11 things, 11 subtle but powerful shifts. You didn't need to shout to release them. You didn't need to announce your growth. You just needed to listen, reflect, and begin to choose differently. Because Stoicism isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming clear. It's not about being above emotion, it's about not being owned by it. And the more you let go, quietly, deliberately, the more room you make for strength, purpose, and peace. So thank you for taking this journey with me. Whether you're walking, lying down, or watching the rain, know this, you're already becoming the person you're meant to be. One choice at a time, one quiet elimination at a time. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need stillness today. And if you feel like supporting this space, a review, a comment, or a simple kind word goes a long way. Until next time, stay calm, stay clear, and stay stoic. This is the Chill Stoic, signing off.